Alright, welcome. We're back to Battles in the East, Volume 1, and we're playing Bagration scenario. Uh, Bagration Stopped. So, finally got to this point. I got the VASSAL mod to the point where I think it's usable. And in today's video, we're just going to look at the setup per the scenario card and talk about some strategies and etc. And then hopefully follow on with a follow-on video with the full setup done, and then we'll get into turn one and start putting this game and this system through its paces. Yeah, my intent was to try this out and then decide if I want Volume 2, but, well, I bit the bullet and I already bought Volume 2. It's on the way, so at some point in the future, maybe I'll do an unboxing of that. I will also mention, yeah, I've already done a rules review, so if anybody wants to know a review of the rules, there's a previous video where you can look at that. Sorry, whenever I start videos, I start coughing. I don't know why that is. Maybe it's psychosomatic. The VASSAL mod, like I said, I finally got it to the point that it's usable. You can see here I got it zoomed out. The only thing I'm not happy with is the map board. I had to use a photo from my camera. It's usable, but I normally prefer a full scan or maybe something from I find on BGG. I am going to see if there's an office store somewhere that has a full flatbed scanner that can fit the map. The problem with this map is it's mounted, so the usual place I use, I can run a paper map. They can do that, and that works great, but can't do that here. But this is definitely playable. As I zoom in, you can see here. Yeah, not uniform, but definitely doable. The VASSAL mod itself, basically I'm making it for my own self. I actually do make VASSAL mods for Decision Games for their magazine games. Initially as sport testing, and then eventually they usually roll out, and some of the VASSAL mods you'll see on their website are ones I made. So I've done that, and I've actually asked them, but from what I understand, they're rather busy right now coming out of the convention season. But they had mentioned on the BGG site that there was one, and they were reviewing it. And I've been watching the site for a while, and the Decision Games. I still haven't seen it, so I decided to go ahead and move forward with this, and I did offer to clean this up if I can get a good map graphic and make it nice and send it to them also, but I'm just waiting on a reply there. All right, with that said, yeah, I don't know if I can upload this VASSAL mod in its present state. It's something I'm going to have to ask their permission, and hopefully their official one comes out before then. With that said, let's move on. Here is the Bagration setup information. And I think I went through it briefly in the last video, but I'll go through it now in more detail. I will zoom out. Oh, I did read the BGG board, and they said they wanted a feature where you could assign units to HQs. There are some independents and some rules about assigning people to, like here we go. We've got this guy is an independent unit, and I'll zoom in again, and you can see I kind of did a filler of HQ on everything. That just means their own assigned HQ. I can maybe make that empty. But you can see here I'm able to add here 47, and it's just a matter of typing it in. So that should get by for now. So let me put this back here. So let's look at the setup here. Clear that. Zoom out a little. There you go, second tank. Soviet player has... Okay, Soviet moves first each turn. There are 10 turns. Soviet player, normally they roll for air support, but the first turn they automatically get one right shift, one air support attack. And if we do look at the offensive display, I've already put the turn 1 Soviet reinforcements on the board. But here's what they do. Every turn you roll, and depending on what you roll, 1 or 2, 2 1Rs, 3 or 4, 1 Soviet 1R, and 5 or 6, the Stukas show up. And then here's our DCI bonus chart. In general, Soviets are going to get for armor, mech, and GCC. They'll get 1R, 1L, and 1R, any terrain. German infantry, they do get a 1L. There's a component there that does have the blocked off defensive strength for each of those divisions, and then Panzer Grenadier, Panzer, and motorized, and they get some nice shifts here, in addition to the headquarters and leader shifts. So, and then you see the rest of the reinforcements here. So, German player, they talk next about supply, all northwestern map edges, the city hexes of Warsaw, the northern and southern map edges behind the German front line. Okay, well, that seems to be, yeah, up through here, and then down here, and here, as long as they're behind the line. So that's their supply sources. And German units, for at least general supply, just trace to a supply source. This means if Warsaw gets cut off, it's in supply still. German units for attack supply have to trace first to their headquarters within headquarters range, and then the headquarters has to trace. Russian units all have to trace to the headquarters unit first for general or attack, and then the headquarters has to be able to trace off. So, both German Army HQ units are considered an attack supply for the entire length of the game. We're going to see, I believe that's 9th Army and 2nd Army, and then we've got 39 and 4SS, and I know there's some confusion on these rules here. I'm going to have to look at the area link that's on BGG to get the actual details, but Soviet player, all southeastern map edges 0217 to 4225. 0217 I think is right here. If I had the graphic map, I'd be in good shape, all the way to up here, so that's good. Ignores the major river line of supply restriction because they had lots of pontoon bridging. Wow. So they can just trace line of supply right over a major river. That's awesome. Soviet players further limited in the number of HKs he may place in attack supply each turn. Okay, and then they have these, and I'm going to have to look at this and unpack this. This says all are in attack supply at the start, but then if I look at the setup, it says all are in attack supply except for the poles, which are, so they're probably just going to be used for screening. Yeah, here are the poles. So they're probably screening between these guys. And then they give these detailed rules going forward. I'll have to sort those out, but at least for the first turn, I think I'm in good shape. Reinforcements and withdrawal. Now, luckily, the withdrawals, not here, the withdrawals are listed here, so that's good. And here, so that's good. Came turn 3, 39th Panzer HQ on 7. The unit's color-coded 39th Panzer. Then shift over to 9th Army. Okay, good to know. Germans may redeploy any 2 eligible HQ or all of 1 division per turn. 2 eligible units. Remove all units from the map. Place them on the turn track 1 turn ahead. If they aren't, put them on infantry. Place them 2 turns ahead. These units enter as reinforcements on the following turn. So that's probably a good way to get units from one side of the battlefield to another side of the battlefield. So that's something. Because there's something, this is kind of strange. It looks like we got the Soviets doing a hook here, coming in here because their normal front lines are here. So it looks like the Soviets, amongst other things, are threatening to cut off 4th SS here. Actually, that's a real possibility here, depending on how fast they can move on the map. Yeah, the Germans don't have anybody up here. So that's interesting. Redeploying 2 eligible units, or all eligible units of 1 division per turn, except for 2nd Army units. Remove them from the map. Okay, maybe that's a quick way, actually, to get out of this mess here. With, we got 2 Soviet armies coming in here, and everybody's in attack supply except for the Poles. But the 2nd Tank Army seems to be running around their rear. That's not a good situation. All right, so we got those rules. German player has 2 Tiger battalions that add an additional 1-hour shift. German player has 3 AT regiments that can be used by non-mech units for by themselves to gain a 1L, 1 attack. Volksgrenadier units have an additional 1 MP for a total of 3 to do disengagement, 2 MP to leave a enemy ZOC, but our Volksgrenadier units, it's 3. And there are 3 hexes along the Vistula with a hammer and sickle. At any time, Soviet units may cross the Vistula into or out of these hexes at +1 MP via a road bridge hex side. For other hex sides, infantry may cross +1, mech units +2. Apply any time a Soviet unit cross the Vistula into a hex occupied by a Soviet. So, looks like wherever we, yeah, here, here, and here. So Soviets can cross, apparently probably their bridges here already. So that's +1 MP in those 3 hexes. Okay, but otherwise, 1 MP for infantry and 2 MP. So that reduces the cost of the regular major river. Major river is usually +3, +2. But for the Soviet markers, they become like a minor river, +1 for movement. And for this, these drop by 1. Okay. Yeah, unless it's one of these crossings here, and that's different. Though it looks like the bridges have been blown. Well, there's one right there. Okay. So that's done. Soviet victory conditions, they've just got to get victory points. I've marked the victory point hexes. They've got to take some of these hexes here. Let me hide pieces here. Yeah. Now this one's a special case. I wish I could rotate this or something. This one is a sudden death victory. But these get 1 victory point. These 4 get 1 victory point. And I think there's 1 more down here. So if they take all those, they get 5. They can get a draw, but then 1 VP. 1 VP for every 2 Soviet-controlled hexes west of the Vistula or northwest of the Nare. Probably messed that up. Here's a Nare. Northwest. Oh, look, it goes up here too. So, wow. I don't know how the Germans are going to win. Okay. With that said, we do the setup here. And I haven't done the full setup yet. It just says 8th Guard start. The HQ is here, and all the rest are within 3. Attack supply. First Poles, 1412. Within 1. General supply. Second tank, 1911, within 3. That's these guys here. Yeah, so we got these guys, we got these guys, we got the Poles, and then we got the 47th over here. And the 47th is within 2. And then we do have the 7th Guard Cavalry. That's these first 3 units. They're assigned a second tank to start, but they can be reassigned. Starts with second tank. Oh, but they can transfer the 8th Guards later. I think these guys are the 8th Guards. Yeah, so Guards Cav can go somewhere between these 2. And the 2 tank brigades here are assigned for turn 1, but can switch to any after turn 1. And then we do see the Soviet reinforcements, and I don't know, I'm going to have to read this. Only one of they come in on turn 1, and only the one down here is an attack supply. And interestingly enough, they can come in here or here. So that's interesting here. They can come in either of those. But then moving along here, they have 3 more armies, and you see them on the edge here. Here's the 28th coming in here, and then the 65th coming in here, and then the 48th coming in here. And this seems like the front lines. And then these Germans have to set up here too. Then later on the turn 4, they get 70th. Game turns 1 to 3. So I'm going to have to read the rules, but at least for game turn 1, it seems these are in general supply. which basically halves their attack factor, and only one attack can be conducted for the HQ. So they're only allowed one attack, but let's see, there's three of them. Yeah, 1, 2, 3 along here. But this army, this one, and this one are in attack supply. So, and then the Germans, well, they don't get a lot of reinforcements. They get some units here. This looks like a division. We get some Tigers. Here's a 542nd Volksgrenadier. There's the one anti-tank unit. Here's the Soviet 70th. Last big one. Then they get the 25th Panzer, or at least parts of the 25th. And then their last one is here. And then the game goes 10 turns. So, yeah, and then the German units have that same thing, within 2, within 2, within 1, within 2, any ninth. So I've got some setup to do here. Now, based on the order of setup, I'm assuming the Soviets set up first. And then the Germans set up. And then we go into game turn 1, and here they come. And there's a lot of them, which makes me wonder. And then the attack supply units are 1, 2, 3, these 4 armies, if I read this right, yeah. 1, 2, 3, and this one, the 4th. And then the units, the Poles, and the 3 armies here along the west edge are in general supply. So real quick, looking at there is a, this is important. Sudden death. Soviet player occupies either Radom, Modlin, or all 4 hexes of Warsaw. And I assume this one on the other side is Praga, I guess, is a suburb. So you got 4 hexes. Okay, so if they occupy all 4 hexes of Warsaw, or they take, there's Modlin, which I guess maybe they could try it. I mean, I'm just looking at this, and I would imagine the German going to try and pull back here. All these units need to get here to defend here, because victory point hexes are right there. But again, if they can get to here, all 4 of Warsaw, or here's Radom down here, if they can blow through here and get to Radom, which the defenses don't look that strong. The Germans are going to have to be up front on this river here to prevent Soviets from moving, because we do have that rule: you can't cross a river if it's in an enemy ZOC unless there's a friendly unit there. And the unit has to be adjacent to the river, but I think we can do that. The freaky thing is they can set that the Russians can come in here, but I don't know if these units can set up here. I'd have to look them up. I'm guessing they're part of 2nd Army, and they're the 214th. 211th. Did I get that right? Yeah, I can't find them. Maybe they're part of this one, 213th. Well, that's weird. I got the 214th Army, Infantry Division. There it is, 214th, 4 units. 0311 within 2. Well, the best they can do is maybe get to here. Okay, and then they can, guess what? They can't get to here. But if they put a unit here, I think that EZOC rule applies. So they're going to have to put a unit here, and a unit there. Let's see how many we got. We got 3. Gonna have to think about that, but yeah, we're gonna have to block this entry hex. Because the Russians could drive here. That seems kind of, if they go for Radom, they win. Okay. So thinking about the strategy here, I'm gonna have to set the Russians up. Now this is gonna be easy because all the Russians are, only the 8th Guard is within 3. But I don't think they can set up on the other side. No Soviet units may set up west of the Vistula. Which means they can't set up here. Oh, the reinforcements can enter here. Okay. So these units are stuck here on this side of the Vistula. So I think the German goal here is to garrison the Vistula, which kind of good luck. Yeah, they're going to have to hold them at the Vistula. And who knows what the Second Tank Army is going to do. They could go to Warsaw, they could drive for here, or they could, there's no points for destroying German units, but they could block these guys from getting over here. Um, there is a disengagement, so if these guys can move up and put these in Zoc, then they're in good shape. Maybe the Germans will set up with a very weak screen here, and the other units behind it, so they can quickly run here. So I guess it's up to the Soviets. Beyond getting these units extricated, the German is on the defensive. And the Soviets can either go for their sudden death victories by driving here, here, or taking Warsaw. Good luck. Or they can go for points, which actually, if they pick up these guys, where's a Nara? That's a Bug River. Wow. They have to get over here, so they could choose to just drive across here and then get points for cities and units across. This one's far away, Roseanne. Yeah. Okay, a lot of interesting choices here. Anyway, I think we've talked about the scenario initial setup here, and so I'm gonna next video when I come back, I'll have finished the Russians' initial setup and then the German initial setup, and we'll look at turn one, and we'll see how this plays out. So a lot of options here. Anyway, thanks for listening. Like, comments, appreciated. Subscribe if you haven't already for the next one, and we'll see you for the opening of the battle at the next video. Thanks for listening.